Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 34th episode of Kouryer Podcast. Today, I'm joined with Ghazale Rastegar. She's a multidisciplinary artist specializing in painting and illustration from Toronto, Canada. Now, with that out of the way, could you please give us a little introduction on how you got into visual arts and design?
Hi. Well, I got into art and design as a child because my aunt is a painter and she always encouraged me to draw. And so I kind of got hooked on drawing and painting. And it was basically a hobby and a way to, keep myself busy for a long time. But I just really liked it. And I kept doing it and I kept doing it. And I went to art school eventually. And then after art school, um, there was a good 5-year period where I didn't even draw at all, and because I was in a corporate job, and then I realized that it was my calling, and I really wanted to get back to it. It makes me happy, so I got back into art again.
All right. And were you originally, I mean, you already mentioned that you went into art school, but were you originally studying art and design, or you're pursuing another career path? Because most of the times, in it's not about like um, families from any part of the world. It's like a common thing in every family all over the world that parents usually push their kids through towards more stable routes. In like engineering, medical fields, stuff like that. They're usually a bit more discouraged, a bit skeptic towards like art fields.
Yeah.
And were you originally, set for that, to go to arts, direction, or the path was different?
No, definitely not. It's not something my parents wanted me to do.
Hmm.
But I really liked it. And when I was in high school, I definitely took art seriously. And I already had my mind set on going to art school. So I took certain classes that encouraged us to create a portfolio so that we can apply for art school. Um, and it just happened to be that the only university I got into was OCAD, which is Ontario College of Art and Design. um, so it kind of worked out for me because I had no other options but to study art.
Hmm.
And right away, even though I liked fine arts, I decided to go into design, advertising specifically because I thought it would make money and be creative at the same time. Um, so for the first couple of years in my college, we focused on everything. So let it be painting, drawing, illustration, sculpture. So the program at this university, it basically funneled down and became specific as the years went by. So once I got into more specifically advertising and graphic design areas, even though I liked it, I wasn't really that interested in it. So I think that's one of the reasons once I graduated, I didn't get a job in the industry. I didn't try to be a professional artist. I went right into communications and advertising because I wanted a stable job and I wanted to pay my student loans back. So it was basically it was a journey. I went around loops to get back to my original interest, which was fine arts.
That actually makes sense because I've seen it in a lot of artists, and especially up and coming artists that they, due to, for example, having wanting to have some sort of a stability, like a short stability in their life, they go, for example, try to become a front end developer. Although
Yeah,
like they're really creatively artists in the heart, they
yeah,
go for graphic design, front end development, but in the end they get disappointed and they drop it because those fields are kind of like, I wouldn't say they don't. Of course, they're creative fields, but they're more like a technical craft in a sense. I don't
yeah.
know if that makes sense.
It
Like
does.
you're a problem solver. You're not going to. You're just going to get a brief from the client or the place you're working with, and you need to solve the problem for them. Like it doesn't. It requires creativity, but it doesn't. Let you
Yeah.
express yourself in that sense.
Yeah, definitely. You
Which,
still have to work within parameters and like you're basically still in a box.
yeah, still in a
Yeah.
box. That's a good
Yeah.
analogy.
Yeah.
And next question: what is your main branch of design that you're focusing on? And tell us about your experience from the start of it until now.
Uh, what do you mean by design?
Oh, sorry, that could have been a bad word. I mean, in visual arts, that your main branch of visual art. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Uh, I would say I don't really like to limit myself and say I have a main branch. Basically, what I like to work on is visual expression, and I definitely like painting, like basically just fine art painting. Uh, and I like to express myself that way and have different figures meaning different things to different people, and there is a message behind the work that I do. But I also really like creating murals, like outdoors murals and large murals, because it makes the city beautiful. So that's why I'm like hesitant to answer your question, because I don't focus on just one thing. There are different things I like to do at different times. Like right now in Canada, it's winter, so I can't really do a lot of outdoors work. So I do a lot of indoors work, like fine art painting and smaller size paintings with more specific themes that I can't do outside. And in the summer, I do a lot of outdoors work with themes that basically pertain to the public eye. Um, so I switch back and forth. To be honest, it's really hard to say what's the focus, but my focus mainly is to just keep doing what I'm doing and get better and do bigger things and have better shows and get bigger walls to paint. And that's really my main goal, to just keep doing what I'm doing and expand on it. I don't know if that
Interesting.
answers
Yeah,
it.
that answers that.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, in the introduction, I already mentioned that you're a multidisciplinary artist, and yeah, I mean, people can main in different branches of art, and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And how would you describe the style of your art when it comes to different schools of thought,
Yeah.
in terms of like style and
Mhm.
approach?
Yeah. I've actually thought about this a lot, and what it seems to me is that my work, my fine art, is a mixture of like Middle Eastern, Persian, um, miniature art combined with Art Deco. So I don't know if you're familiar with Art Deco. I know you're
No,
familiar
I'm not.
with or with Persian stylistic
Oh yeah,
painting.
yeah.
Yeah, so you're familiar with that. So that's miniature art. So there's a lot of patterns and there's a lot of different colors. And also Art Deco is very similar, but it's a little bit more geometric and orderly. It's not as busy. So I think it seems to me, and they happen to be my favorite art movements. So I think consciously or subconsciously, or both, they've influenced my work, where I have a lot of patterns and colors like Middle Eastern work, but I also have certain geometrical shapes and order that I add to my work too. So that's how I describe my work.
Interesting. And how does your design process usually go anytime you want to start working on a project? Like it could be any kind of project, but let's say you want to work on a new painting. You have a subject for a painting and you want to bring it to life in in your canvas.
Right.
What steps does your process has
Go
consisted of?
through.
What I'm
Um,
trying to ask.
so basically, the first thing is an idea. It's like, oh, I want to paint a woman, I don't know, dancing with a snake. So sometimes it's just a matter of just a sketch so that I know how I'm going to lay the work out. Once I do that, I get my canvas or whatever and I sketch it out, and basically sometimes my plans don't go the way I thought they would go. So I'm like, "Oh, I was going to put a tree here, but instead I'm going to put it here because now that I put it on the canvas, it looks better in this way." So usually it just starts with a small idea, and then when I put it down, other ideas come and get added to it. So then the first it becomes like a pencil sketch, and then I add some color to it. And sometimes I change those colors because once I put them down, they don't look good. So, so once I have the color, then I add the patterns. Sometimes I don't like a certain pattern, I paint over it and I do another pattern. So it just starts with an idea, and it just it's like putting like one little brick and then more bricks, and sometimes you remove some and then put some other ones. um, it's a fun process, but sometimes it can be painful because sometimes what I think is going to happen doesn't happen, so I then have to kind of destruct and then reconstruct the work. So that's generally my process.
All right, interesting. And actually, right now, I want to talk about some of your artworks.
Sure.
Like you already mentioned that you did some murals, and tell us about your experience of like how did the experience opportunity I mean sorry came by that you got commissioned to do like a couple of murals, but one of the one specifically I want you to talk about is the one where there's like a bookshelf with like a cat in it. It's like green and yellow, you know which one?
Right, right. Yeah. The bookshelf with the yellow. Well, so I started doing murals just um it's an opportunity came by. It wasn't something that I thought I was going to do. Basically the city of Toronto hires artists every year to paint traffic boxes. So we have these boxes around every intersection that have the mechanism of like the traffic lights in them, and they're gray and they're kind of ugly. So basically, Toronto has been commissioning different artists to paint them. So I just saw a call to artists, and I sent a proposal. And I actually did it one year, and I didn't get it. And then I tried again the next year, and I got the commission. And it was really exciting to me because it was the first time I painted anything outside in public. So once I did that, and that was the beehive. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's
Yeah, I think I saw that one
the
too.
first one is just bees and a beehive. So once I did that, then other opportunities came up, and the city of Toronto again does a lot of these calls out. And the one with the bookshelf, I had it done in two ways for two different locations. One, I painted it. It's basically a bookshelf with different books in it. There's a record player, there's some records, there's pots and plants, and a couple of cats. I just thought it would be visually interesting. And bookshelves are something that almost everyone has in their homes. So I just wanted to do something that resonated with people, and I put different titles on them. So some of them are funny, some of them are actual real books. I just wanted to make people stop and enjoy, because sometimes we just go through life without paying attention to our surroundings, and we're just so in our heads. And I think that's the point of like public art, and that's why I like it so much, because it gets people to stop and pay attention and, you know, just get out of their head for a second. But anyway, this bookshelf, I also did it for another location, and I did it digitally. So it's the same concept, but I changed the names of the books and whatnot to pertain to this particular location because it's for another city. So what they did was they printed it on vinyl wrap and they wrapped it around a similar box, but a different location.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's a motif that I've used a couple of times.
All right. And I always like take a look at the guests that come on the podcast, take a look at their bios, and maybe there's like certain statement. And there's actually something that caught my eye on your bio. I
Hmm.
want you to explain a bit and about the in statement that is in your bio. I intend to penetrate your mind's eye with my matriarchal agenda. What's
Yes.
like? I mean, it's kind of obvious that it's so prevalent in your art as well.
Yeah.
Could you please elaborate on that?
Well, I think we all know that we live in a patriarchal life,
Mhm.
patriarchal world, especially, where you are. You're in Turkey, so it's more than where I am.
Yeah.
Uh, but the world is designed around men, patriarchal society,
Mhm.
power, the way men would benefit from. And now things are getting a little bit better for women. But for the longest time, we didn't have a voice. Our opinions didn't matter. I mean, they still don't in a lot of places.
Yeah.
Um, and basically, we were second class citizens. So my work revolves around empowering women and empowering the way we see life, um, and basically giving voice to a lot of the things that women want to say that they can't or they don't, or they're not allowed to. Um, Especially if you're in a place like the Middle East, you know. So I like to be the voice of a lot of women that can't say what I say, and then I want them to like think. When they see my work, I want them to kind of feel empowered and think, yes, that's what I wanted to say, or that's what I think. But it basically all goes back to physiological reasonings. I don't know if you ever read a book called Sapiens.
No, I don't think so.
Basically, if you read it, it talks about patriarchal societies and matriarchal societies, and like we are 90 something percent DNA linked to bonobos, which are a matriarchal society, and also with chimpanzees, which are patriarchal society. So once you read that book, you'll know the difference. Chimpanzees, they fight to the death, but when there is a conflict with bonobos, they actually make love to resolve issues. So,
Interesting.
so I think life would be better if we allow women to chime in sometimes. I think patriarchal societies are very destructive. So my art really, I try to, as much as
Mhm.
possible, bring out the feminine into the world because I don't think there's enough of it. And that's
Mhm.
the very long short story.
Awesome. And the last thing in this section I want to ask you is, I think this the particular artwork I'm gonna ask you to explain a bit is actually one of my favorite artworks from you. It's
Okay.
the and actually you recently reposted it again. I think, or if I'm
Yeah, I
not
did.
mistaken, the
Yeah.
guest house one.
Yeah.
It looks so pretty. I mean, just being honest. And
Thanks.
could you please tell us the story of it?
Well, the artwork itself is digital. I did it all on Photoshop. I just really wanted to redo, or I don't know how to say, give a makeover to the old style Persian miniature art. I'm really interested in that, those basically the historical paintings from back in the day from Iran and Turkey and all that. So I just wanted to make it my way and make it more colorful and make it more festive and kind of incorporate men and women in it. To complement the poem that I really enjoy from Rumi. It's called Guest House. Sometimes I work based on poetry, sometimes I work based on music. So when I'm stuck, I look for inspiration, and this poem was definitely an inspiration for this particular illustration, and also because Rumi is Persian or Turkish. I don't know. It's argued where he's from exactly, but yeah, I just wanted to complement that beautiful poem with the beautiful miniature style painting or digital art, digital painting.
All right. Actually, about the origin of Rumi, it's weird because when I was in Iran, everyone said, "Oh, he's Iranian. He was Iranian and all that." And when I'm in Turkey,
Is
no,
he?
no, he was a great Turkish poet and all that.
I
And
think I think because he's from Azerbaijan, which is like,
hmm, yeah,
right? Is that the Turkish
I'm
part of
not.
Iran?
Um, yes, Azerbaijani Turks are different from the Turks that are in Turkey. In a sense, they're
Yeah,
like a different set of people. But
right.
yeah, I mean, there's the country of Azerbaijan, but there's also two states of Azerbaijan inside of Iran.
Yeah,
Because in old times, this whole area was for a long time, and different eras they were like a united, part.
yeah,
So we
yeah.
couldn't necessarily say like we could technically, in a sense, say he's belongs to the area, not necessarily a modern country. You know what I mean?
Right, but his poetry was written in Farsi. It
Well,
wasn't
yeah,
written
of
in
course.
Turkish.
Sorry, there's like a. I'm sorry,
Whoa,
that was a bit.
a ghost!
No, there was an insect. Yeah, let's just forget that. Yeah, shit
I
happens.
thought
All
you were
right.
getting attacked by Turkish people because you said
No, that would actually be a good segue. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And here's the thing. Yes, Turkish language used to be written in Farsi alphabet, but
Used
it
to be.
yes, of course, used to be, but like in the past 80, 90 years, it got
Yeah.
changed to like a more
Yeah.
Latin version. But maybe I think they were both in Turkish, and he, like, wrote poems in both
So the
Turkish
alphabet
and
was, but
Farsi.
so is Arabic. Arabic is the same alphabet too, but you don't say that Quran is Farsi. You say Quran is Arabic.
Yeah.
Hafiz is Farsi. He put some
Mm-hmm.
Arabic sonnets in his work, but Rumi wrote everything in Farsi. So
Oh,
I don't know.
yeah. I'm not really not. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
honest. I'm not really knowledgeable on this area.
Yeah.
Let's just move to another question.
Okay.
Who are your favorite artists and designers that have inspired your works the most?
Well, a very cliche one is Frida Kahlo, painter, that I really like. Um, I really like Urte, who is Art Deco artist. Um, Definitely a big fan of some modern artists or designers. There's Malika Favre, who is French.
Oh, yeah, I
Uh,
know her.
Her work is very geometric. My work doesn't look like hers, but it's like the colors and the layouts are very pleasing to me.
Hmm.
Um, there is also, it's a good question. Who else? There's so many people I like and I don't remember their names. I would say definitely Frida and Urte are my top two,
Hmm.
historically speaking. Currently, like I enjoy a lot of people's works, like Chloe Wise, the one I told you, Malika Fab. Uh,
I mean, it doesn't need to be like a
the
a
list.
visual artist. It could be maybe a musician that inspires you.
Oh my
Any
god,
any kind of artwork.
yeah. I mean, musicians. I listen to music 100% of the time. I mean, I'm not
Hmm.
listening to it now because I'm talking to you, but
Yeah, of course.
um, I just I love music, and I can't tell you one name. There's a million.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I enjoy every kind of art. It's anywhere I go to the museum and I enjoy every piece. I don't like to like limit myself to liking one or two people. There are certain people that I'm always like, wow, every time I see their work, I'm amazed. But I think you can learn from everyone. But
Hmm.
I can't think of any other names off the top of my head, to be honest with
All right.
you.
What is I mean, of course, we already went through this kind of the question. I'm gonna ask the answer to it a couple of times, but I mean, to be more specific, what is the main subject of your artworks and what made them interesting to you? Of course, with the explanation of the statement in your bio and like bunch of stuff, we already got the answer to that. But if there's anything else to add.
The main focus of my work is, to be honest, is whatever I'm going through, whatever I'm thinking. I make art for a few reasons. One of them is because I love doing it and there's nothing else I like to do. And the other thing is kind of therapy. Sometimes my mind is so jumbled up,
Mhm.
and creating something out of that craziness that's happening here is
Th-
therapeutic therapize. It's
Therapeutic, I think that's the word.
therapeutic. There you go.
Yeah.
Therapeutic. So I mean, like I do art for one, for selfish reasons, and the other because I like beautiful things, and I know people like beautiful things, and I like to not only make them because I love making them, but also for people to enjoy them and to engage with them, to like tell me what they think, or if they hate it, why they hate it, if they love it, why they love it. You know, it's basically my connection to the outside world and to the inside world. Like it's transcendent.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. And what technologies and softwares do you mostly use for your works? I mean, when it comes to, of course, like for example, the guest house work,
Uh,
or some of the motifs you did. I think you said for the murals, but in the digital version, you said.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, in that part.
Softwares, I use Photoshop mostly.
Hmm.
I have used Illustrator too, mostly for things that are more designy, because I
Hmm.
do designs too sometimes still, graphic design and logos and whatnot. But my main one is definitely Photoshop. And even when I make GIFs, I use Photoshop to make GIFs. Um, but I'm actually trying to learn After Effects so that I can improve my animation skills to do some a little bit more complex ideas. That's
Yeah,
it.
that's a beast of a software, After Effects. I tell you that much.
Yeah,
Because there's so many things you can do with that, and actually there's so many different like job openings for just learning After Effects.
yeah,
Like it's not like Photoshop or Illustrator that you could, technically it's possible to master those. I mean, After Effects it is, but it's like a different beast. It's like a different animal. After
yeah,
Effects.
for sure. I used to know Flash,
Hmm. But it's
so
dead now, I think, if I'm not
Flash
mistaken.
is like up, like gone. No
Yeah.
one uses Flash anymore. But there are certain similarities, so I'm
Hmm.
hoping it's not gonna be um, as challenging for me to learn because I started learning it and I stopped, and now I'm like, all right, time to get back to it. And it's winter, so I'm like, I have more time to.
Hmm.
And it's COVID, so more time to learn new
Yeah.
things. I gotta keep the mind active, you know.
True. True. And any advice and tips for a good portfolio and resume for artists?
Well, it comes to portfolio, just make sure you're doing your own thing. Like use your own voice. Like if you're trying to make work that looks like somebody else's work, that's not authentic, and that's just copying. So if you want to, be inspired by a certain style, that's you should do that. But then you should add your own style too. Keep exploring and do different things and don't stop. um, don't do just one thing, just do many things and see which one you resonate more with, and then explore on that, expand on that. I myself, I know when I was starting off, I was really scared of colors, so I did a lot of things in black and white. But then once you start practicing, you get better at it. So I just think that you should just keep going, keep doing things, don't stop, don't get too stuck in your head. Don't overthink things. Sometimes you make something that's super ugly, and that's okay, and you throw that out if you want to, or you can keep it and then you can revisit it later. um, so I think you should just don't stop. Just
Hmm.
don't stop. Just keep going. Believe in yourself. Get second opinions from people who know what they're talking about. I'm not saying go ask your mom. um, and when it comes to resumes, I don't know. I'm not really an expert in writing resumes, but just write your skills. Write your skills. Write what you've done. Always learn new things. Uh, there's YouTube is great. You can learn a lot of things about them. Figure out which artists you like and um, how they do what they do. Just never stop learning, basically, and never quit.
All right. And what are you working on right now that you can tell us about? What kind of project is it? Of course, I mean, if it's something that there's an NDA involved, I mean, we can skip the question right now. But if that, but if that's not the case, what kind of project you're working on right now?
Well, there was a project that I was working on that was a little bit intense. I told you about. There is an NDA, but I'll just give you a brief description. It
Mm-hmm.
was basically 10 illustrations, 10 digital illustrations for an educational video.
Mm-hmm.
So I finished that just a few days ago, which is great. And now I'm just getting back to a painting that I had left halfway. It's just an acrylic painting, um, my usual work. And I'm also right now learning the new software I told you about. I'm learning
Mm-hmm.
After Effects and also what do you call that? The video editing one, Final Cut Pro.
Uh,
So
Final
that's
Cut Pro is for. I'm sorry to
video
interrupt, but
editing.
Final Cut Pro is for Mac, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I don't know. I have a Mac. You should be able to use it on PC too. It's for video editing.
Yeah,
I'm
I
pretty
know, but
sure it's not limited to.
anyway, sorry for interrupting. Yeah, you were saying
No, that's okay. Final Cut Pro. I am pretty sure. Or no, sorry, Premiere, Adobe
Premiere
Premiere.
Pro. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, where'd you go? Can you see me?
Yeah, yeah, I can see you. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Premiere, Adobe
Mm-hmm.
Premiere, not Final Cut. My
Yeah.
mistake. Um, yeah, I forgot what your question was. What am I working on?
I'm
That's
sorry. I'm sorry for interrupting. My
that's okay.
question was, what are you working on right now? You were talking about the 10 digital illustrations that you were
Yeah,
doing for a course with you,
for an educational video. Yeah,
educational media.
yeah.
And
That's
yeah.
it. That's what I'm working on.
All right. Awesome. And all right. The next question is actually a really fun question because I always get like really interesting different answers. Imagine like there's different ways I always phrase that
Mhm.
question because sometimes, but the best way that I always ask, I kind of hate repeating myself, but whatever, I'm just gonna go with the way I always ask. Imagine right now you got a text, all right, and it said you got a
Mhm.
million bucks. You know, just don't forget why you would get a million bucks. Just imagine you got a million bucks, all right. What happens is you wouldn't have to worry about bills and a lot of worry. A lot of your worries would just be vanished in a snap. Now
Yeah.
with all that free time, what skill or craft would you pursue to learn? You know, that's the question.
Hmm. Good question. I mean, I don't know if I would want to learn anything new, but I think what I'd go for is making like really big paintings.
Hmm.
Um, skill wise, I mean, I would love to get into woodworking, like carpentry,
Hmm.
but that's like not completely related to what I do. But I mean, if I have extra money and I have extra space, I'd really like to do some like make some carpentry and make pottery also. Do some like 3D stuff. And just
Sculpting.
sculpting too. Yeah, I would just like to like maybe play around and
Hmm.
just do whatever I feel like. Like um, yeah, because right now, I have a small apartment. I can only do a certain size of work. Like I'm already running out of space. I'm actually looking to move to a bigger place right now.
Hmm.
But yeah, if I have a bigger place, I'll do more work. I'll do bigger work, and I'll do like 3D work. So like sculpting, pottery, woodwork. Uh,
All right.
yeah, that's what I would do.
Interesting. I mean, yeah, I mean, this is what I'm talking about. I always get different answers, and what I think we could conclude from your answer is that you still have a lot of like creative juices inside your head that you just want to try every creative field that you could get your hands on.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. I feel like the one thing that I enjoy is just doing things that I used to do when I was a kid.
hmm.
And when you're a kid, you just play around with whatever you
Hmm.
find. Like you go to the backyard and you take a bunch of mud and you make a mud person. There is no limits to what you
Hmm.
can do. You're not thinking about, oh my god, how much is this gonna cost, or where am I gonna keep it. You just do whatever you feel like. You explore you let your curiosity take you wherever you want to take you and wherever it wants to take you, and you're done, you wash your hands and you go to sleep. You're not really thinking about, oh, I wonder how much money this is going to make me. You're not thinking about all these external factors. It's like, I
Hmm.
wonder if people are going to like it. And you're not even thinking like, oh, I want to make something that people like. You just do whatever you feel like, whatever
Hmm.
comes to you. And you have a lot of room to you know just be. And I think that's one thing that we're concerned with as artists, especially because money is important. How much money you're spending to create a piece of art. Like, okay, this is how much a canvas costs, this is how much painting costs. So if you're not worried about money, you're not really thinking about all of that anymore. You can just be
Hmm.
creative and just play. That's it.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
And with everything that's been said and done in this episode, to conclude everything we discussed, give us a roadmap for someone who is zero in visual arts and wants to get to the place you are in terms of skill set. This is basically the end of the podcast, and in the final section, we ask artists to basically give us a roadmap like that, like a step by step, like everything they could share.
Yeah. Yeah. What I would say, and I don't think it applies to everyone because everyone is from different backgrounds and they have different struggles and they're in different places. But I would just say that you have to keep doing what you're good at, and you have to just explore. You have to put in the time, and keep putting your work out there. And once you get to a place where you feel confident, um, then you have to reach out to people. For example, if you like to paint, you just keep painting. When you get to a place that you enjoy your work, you make sure that you're putting it out there in the world that you're looking for more work, you're looking to sell your work. Of course, with like social media and the technology that we have, it's so much easier to promote your work. So of course, put your work on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and all those things, and make sure you engage with other artists and make sure you learn from what they do, and just put your work out there and reach out to people. Like ask questions, apply for competitions and whatnot. Reach out to your community. If there's an artist community you can get involved with. Um, it's it's not a it's not a straightforward journey. It's not like going to engineering school and graduating and getting a job. For each person it can be different, and it basically depends on what you do and where you want to go and where you live. Um, but the one thing that is a proven international thing to me is just keep doing it and keep showing people and keep improving and push yourself every day, you know? That's it.
All
I don't
right.
know if it's such a map.
No, no,
It's
it
not
was,
so
it
much
was.
a map.
Well, I mean, I'm not necessarily looking for like a structural, like detailed maps, but as long as it gives a direction, I mean, that's fine, you know?
Okay.
And well, thank you so much for coming by. Where can people contact you if they had any questions or, just want to contact in general?
The best way to contact me is through, I mean, I don't know if I have my Instagram blocked for messages. But if you go to my Instagram, you can send me an email from there or direct messages. My username is Gazaraza. And that's the best way to contact me.
All right. Thank you so much for coming by. By the way, just a quick note: if anyone, if you all enjoyed the episode and enjoy the stuff that our guest shared with us, you could also support the artist through a link in her bio in the Instagram. There's a Society 6 shop. And I mean, of course, maybe that could be then your new gift idea for your friend, or for your significant other. Who knows? Just saying, I'm not trying to, promote or sell out or anything. But anyway, thank you so much for coming by. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. See you guys in the next. Bye. Have a good one.
Bye.